passion for movie making?
Where did I find? I'm from another generation, you know. So I really was, as a kid, you know, as a young kid, we didn't have the video games and everything. So the main, you know, occupation was going to the cinema as a kid, you know. So since I think I was 12 years old, you know, at that time I was watching Hitchcock films on the TV, and the Nouvelle Vague films, you know, were still on famous at that time, and all the Italian movies at that time. And I think I was just amazed going to films and cinema. I was dreaming. I had a second life there, and I believed that as a director it would be the same, you know. It's like going to the films and sitting in a theater to watch movies, you know, and have dreams, you know, and living other lives. And that's why I wanted to be a director, to create these kind of things. And I understood it's not the same doing films and watching films. So, but the main reason I wanted to keep the dreams, like being in a cinema, to keep it all my life by being a director too.
Part of reality, but they do not show all the reality. How do you select in the editing session? Or
for me, the documentary is an accident. Meaning, I did until now. I shot until now short films, narrative fictions. You know, I'm a producer too, so I produce documentaries. I helped out as a sound recorder on documentaries, so I knew how they were done, and I was very afraid about documentary because, of course, it's true life, you know. You can control it, you know, but you have kind of control by editing and by the way you're shooting, you know. So I was very afraid of exactly that problem, you know, between fiction, you know, and true life, you know. So. For me, there is almost no difference anymore today, meaning fiction films, you know, features, they are more and more looking like documentaries. The way the people are playing, you know, are almost like real humans being. It's very far away from the way we played, where acting was, you know, 30 years ago. And documentaries are more and more built up with almost screenplays like in narrative films, you know. So for me, the border is very, 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 doesn't exist almost anymore. Sometimes you're there for half an hour and you think it's fiction and it's documentary, you know. And that's how I build my film too. I really wrote a screenplay of the idea of the film, just to think how I want to put the story on, you know. And then, of course, reality was in front of me and I had to change my point of view and my way of filming, because the true makes, you know, is even bigger than your screenplay, you know. But I had the idea of rewriting a real screenplay with scenes to have a main structure of what I wanted to say with the documentary and real persons, you know.
And a real person is also Coby, the main character in your movie. How did you meet her?
Him, no, I say him. Alors, it's very simple, it's my brother, it's my half brother. I was not raised in the same family, but I met him when he was still, Susanna, a girl, when he was 12 years old, you know. So I know him since he's 12 years old. So it's a very close story for me. That's why I did this documentary, because I was not involved in documentary as a director, but it was so close, I was the only one able to shoot that story. Because I understood everything about it. So it's my brother, you know, so it's very simple.
And how did you feel, for what reason, I mean, did you make it? Did you feel like making this documentary? Did you want justice for her? Did you want some legacy for the other family, the children maybe? What were the reasons?
No, first I said no. To be honest, at the beginning he began to post YouTubes on internet because he's filming himself all the time, you know. And he told me, oh, it could be nice to do a documentary about it, you know, because he knows I'm a director, I have a production company. And I said no at the beginning, because I felt I'm going to do a reality show, you know. I'm gonna be there waiting of the dramatic moments, you know, and just, of course, I knew it would be dramatic. Doing surgery, fighting against the family to be what you want, to change gender. So I knew it would be dramatic and could be a nice, you know, film, but I was afraid because I thought that's not what I want to show about that, you know. So I waited 5 years. He did all the transitioning. He became the man I know now, you know, and then that you see at the beginning of the film. And when I saw how wonderful it was to see him growing up like that as a man now, how the whole family and the surrounding were changing with him by accepting the unacceptable, choosing to change gender, you know. I thought I have a point of view which is different than the reality show. And perhaps I wanted to help out, like I did, by staring at that story, to be confronted to this and change my mind. It's not a freak. People are not crazy doing this. It's a normal process, like a changing of state, you know. That's what I try to show in my film. So that was the purpose of the film.
And your movie traveled to many festivals.
Mm-hmm.
Were you there with the movie also? Did you meet other members of the audience that maybe told you that this movie helped them? It opened their minds.
Yeah, I didn't imagine that at the beginning. When I did the movie, I knew I had something very bright and different than the regular movie about that, because everything is dark when you talk about transgenders. You know, it's a harsh, very hard thing, and it's always a kind of craziness. And I saw that it was different in that story with my family, and I wanted to show it, you know. And so it made a big, especially in France, because in France it was not so easy to accept transgender, made a huge progress for people, the film, you know. I didn't imagine that by doing the film. For me it was an intimate story. I knew I wanted to show it light where people saw darkness, but I couldn't imagine other people would be, you know, more comfortable because they saw that light. So a lot of family came to me after the film, or even days after the film, saying now they accept their kid is going to transitioning. So the film, of course, helped out for a lot of family to accept, and transgender to say, okay, I'm on the right path and I'm going to do it, you know.
But what do you say? Why do you say this transgender means darkness? Because
that's how they show it. All the film I saw, because
not harming anyone.
I think it's because storytelling is about drama. So even documentary, a lot of documentary, the idea is how can I tell drama? So you use transgender story to show drama. So the way you put on the story has to be dramatic, and the dramatic is of course the psychological part of the transgender, and to face discrimination and everything. Who is part of it, you know? But it's always that part that you show, because it's the more movie-like that you can show, you know? I choose to do exactly the reverse. Everything who is dramatic is not in the film almost, you know? Because for me, using that would be to do like the other films, you know? Using the subject of transgender to have a, you know, a drama. And I try to put it in another way. So my story is not about a character has a problem, how does he solve it? The film begins, the character is well. How did he get there to be well? So it changed totally the way of thinking, you know. That's the idea of the film.
And do you remember a specific reaction during a festival? Do you remember somebody from other country maybe?
It's very different. In every country, things are different about transgender. In the United States, they are 15 years in front of us. They know more about it. So when they see my film, they are just amazed how the family take care of the transitioning of their kid. That's the most impressive for the Americans, because it's a family from the middle class living nowhere in a little village. So in the States, they are more moved about that than about the transitioning itself, you know. In France, it was more, people were just amazed because they didn't imagine that, you know. For them, it was you know, a remote population of crazy guys going in nightclubs. There's still that idea, you know, of, you know, and sexual workers, you know. There are a lot of wrong ideas about transgenders, you know, and transgenders. So I think the best reaction I had in France was I couldn't imagine that. And for me now, I changed my mind about transgender community, you know. So that was more the French way of thinking. What was the other? I don't remember the other ones. Switzerland. In Romania, I had the first Q&A yesterday. We're going to see this afternoon. I don't remember what happened yesterday, but you know, this kind of film, people are going to watch them are two kinds. The people are involved from far or near to the subject, so they want to know things. And people are looking films who are coming in festivals. They don't even know exactly the subject, they just want. So that those people are really amazed when they are out of the film, because I tell the story in a so normal, smooth, silent way that they couldn't imagine they would be, how to say, they would love this kind of film. So I'm happy about that, you know, with the festival. Some people who wouldn't go for this kind of film are amazed about the film at the end, you know.
Thank God we're living in these times where communication is possible and we can see other stories. You talked about your production company called
Ciao Film, yeah.
Yes, tell me, how did you create it? And it's for 20 years, right?
Yeah, it's an old company, but I don't produce a lot of film because my company was just a tool for me. I understood that if you want to produce film or unproducible, meaning there is no audience, normally TV, distribution, sales, they say, oh no, this kind of subject, I don't care, you know. I thought I need a tool to raise money, and so I don't make money in that company, and people are working with me. They make money by working on other films, and we put our time in that company to produce documentaries, and especially that we like, and we know nobody wants to produce them, you know. So that's the idea. Even that film with the subject transgender is really trendy, but the way I was telling the story was not. You know, when I tried to raise money on TV in France, they said, where is the drama? You know, they wanted that drama, of course. They wanted that darkness, you know, that I don't show in my film. So I needed to do it on my own expenses, part of the film, you know. So taking risks. Ciao Film, my company, helps me to take risks for me and other directors, you know, to produce some film who won't have the chance to exist without this kind of company.
Would that be some kind of advice for young filmmakers to take risks on what?
Today, you have to, because if you, I know it because I have other projects that I don't want to produce with my company because they are more expensive, more big, and I see the fight it is, because everything you have to go in a box now. You have two forced boxes, you know, for Netflix and everything. Your film has to look like something that looks like something that looks like something, you know. So of course, if you want to do something very, you know, private, independent, I think you have to take risk, of course, because if you're looking for money, you're gonna have a couple of producers who are still ready to do it, but you know, there are a lot of directors who wants to do film, and a few producers ready to take risks like that. So take your risk yourself, you know. And today, I think, to do a film, you know, it's not so expensive anymore, less than 30 or 50 years ago, you know. You can take risks. The most difficult is to get it to the audience, you know, now. But producing it with a little camera and a good idea, you know, and a couple of friends, if you work hard and takes the time and find a way to raise money to pay yourself at that time, you can do a film, you know, I'm sure.
And how do you feel about World Romania, the film for human rights?
Until now, I'm amazed about the audience. There are a lot of people in the even when it's sunny, you know, and it's sunny, and it's on Saturday, and everybody wants to go to the lake. People are there at the cinema, and they are very interesting, and they are interested in a lot of different, you know, aspects of international, you know, independent film. and I'm just amazed about the audience until now that they are so, you know, and all the questions are very interesting. Everybody speaks English, it's incredible, you know. I'm very amazed, you know, about, and I think Romanian cinema is very, very impressive. For French directors, we are watching Romanian film and we are impressed about the way you're putting stories, you know, and telling stories.
Do you feel like someone should study a documentary school in order to do a documentary?
I don't think now it's crazy, but you can learn just by watching documentaries, of course. I went to school, very famous French school, the famous French film school. I was there, you know. I needed just to be comfortable to understand what's cinema and to have a couple of years more to understand the process. But I learned stuff, but I learned more by doing, of course, than by, you know, learning academics, you know. So for some people, it's important to go to film school and documentary film school because they need that moment to still be in a protected place, you know, to think about films and try things. But I think the best school is taking even your smartphone. And I do workshops with kids, for 14 years old kids, you know, who are in art school, you know. And they're always talking about that. I say, no, everybody's going to be a 2-minute film, you know, with your smartphone. And they are learning by doing. And I think the best way to learn is doing, you know, is watching films and doing. Little steps by little steps. A 2-minute film, a 5-minute film with your computer, with a smartphone, and then slowly you go on, you know. That's what I believe.
Vlogging, you know, you talked about children, you know, that kids today are really good at editing and filming, especially in Romania. There is a real phenomenon of vloggers, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this?
That's very different, the bloggers.
A vlogger, so vlogging.
Yeah, blogger.
No, vlog.
A vlog? What's vlog then?
It's a video blog. A YouTube
Okay, it's not, okay. Yeah, but
made by kids.
yes, I know, but half of some are, what I show in my workshops for kids, when I begin the story and say, we're going to use a smartphone to do, look, I do like this. I have my smartphone, they don't need the Apple, but you know, and I say, we're going to use that. But the film is not going to be like that. The film is going to be like that. It's a big change, you know, and that's a little bit change. With internet, a lot of difference is like this, you know, because a lot of parties, look, I'm in the crowd, I'm doing that. And I say, you're going to be intimate without filming yourself. You're going to stare at the world. And I think it's the just little difference, you know, sometimes with the vloggers. Some are really looking at the world, others are looking at themselves in the world, you know.
Yes.
And the idea of it is try just to return it. You will always talk about yourself, for sure. But on one side, you're a little bit more turned to the others, you know.